welcome everyone to Overcome Podcast. Today we have a very special guest. He just finished the CrossFit Games. He ended up in second place in the age group of 60 to 64. Super inspirational. When I saw that result and I read about it, I was like, I have to talk to this guy. So Tom Fameree, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Yuri. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I did some research about you, and I gotta tell, one of the things that I found super interesting as I was reading about is that you start CrossFit in 2014, and actually your first CrossFit Games it was in 2018, and you finished pretty good, ninth place for the first time.
Yeah.
And then in 2021 you finish in last place, and I'm like, wow, what a comeback 2 years later, right? So let's start from that. What do you think it happened in 2014, which was your first experience doing the games, versus what happened in 2021?
Sure. So in 2018, I was 56 years old, Yuri. And, just like it is for the teenagers, like a 14-year-old is going to do less well than a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old. It's the same thing when you're on the other end of life. And as a 56-year-old, I don't know. I just felt like I was competitive. I felt like I belonged. You're right. I qualified in 20th in 2018, and I came in ninth place, which was a huge victory for me. I felt really good about it. And then the next year, 2019, I believe I did better in the qualifying, but they only took the top 10, so didn't make it in that year. And 2020 was COVID.
Right.
So, and I did better again. And then I just kept climbing, like from 14th, I think, to 13th. And then in 2021, I was certain I wasn't going to make it because I was at the top end of my age range. I was 59 years old. And it just so happened that the workouts in the age group online qualifier were just kind of in my wheelhouse. They were just things that I was good at. We all have things that we're good at. We all have things that we're not so good at. And I came in sixth in the qualifier at 59 years old. And I actually felt like, oh, okay, I'm just getting better at this sport as I get older because all my PRs were still increasing. I felt really good. So I was super excited to make it back to the games. I remember getting back in the gym right away and lifting really heavy. And that was my demise, Yuri. What happened was I went after it too hard and I got hurt. I hurt my back.
Oh, wow.
And so I had this like sciatic nerve issue. My left leg was numb. So I tried to, I was going to the doctor, numerous times to try to figure out what the heck is going on. And I guess to this day, I really don't know exactly. It had to be something with a compressed disc or a bulging disc or something like that, because my left leg was just, I was still strong, but it was really kind of weak. And, but it got a little bit better as I got to the games. And then I got there and I was 59 and all these guys were young at 55. And like I told you before, there just is a difference between a 55-year-old and a 59-year-old. I wouldn't have guessed it either. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but it really was. And I think that coupled with my injury just caused me to, and then a third thing, I sound like I'm having a bunch of excuses, but it's just what happened.
Yep.
The workouts just were not in my wheelhouse. Anywhere from handstand walking to, because we had a run in the first event and I did okay in that one. I think I took 11th out of the 20 people, but that really irritated that hip and back issue that I had going on. So the rest of the games in 2021 were just kind of like a hang on and do the best you can. And then I remember towards the end fighting so hard not to come in last place. That was my goal as we came to the last several workouts, and I just couldn't get out of the hole. And I felt I felt pretty bad because I never had really experienced that before, and had that kind of, as I call, failure. It's never really a failure at the games, but I felt like it, and it just didn't meet my standards, and I felt like I was letting a lot of people down. I don't know why I felt that way. I know I wasn't, but I just get those thoughts into my mind, and I felt like I just don't belong here anymore. But I knew I was on the old edge
Yeah.
of range of years, and I knew I was aging up the next year, and I thought, well, that's what I'm going to target.
Were you in pain throughout the weekend when you because you said when you ran you kind of felt the back and the hamstring or whatever going down. So the rest of the weekend were you in pain all the time?
Yeah, I remember just really not being able to sleep well. Again, it was just this radiating, picky, burning, left thigh that I had, and it was not so bad that I couldn't go, but it was really debilitating to compete. When you're at that level, when you're at the games, you gotta go, and you gotta be in good condition and ready
Yeah.
to go, because those guys are too good, right?
Yeah, yeah, and you have every single minor adjustments makes a difference, and I totally understand your point about age because I compete in martial arts, and the brackets are always 45. I'm 40. I'm 48. So I at some point I was in the 45 bracket from 40 to 45, and from 40 to 45 makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
Uh,
it
yeah,
does.
five years is huge. People don't realize that. It maybe not too huge from 20 to 25, 25 to 30, but after you cross 40s, it
It
every year is makes a difference.
it does. It's a real thing.
Yeah, it is. And but what I really admire is that you felt all this. You went and finished in last place. How was your mindset at that point? At some point you actually thought about giving up on this, or you actually use this to motivate yourself and do better.
Yeah, I never felt I would give up, Yuri, because I knew those things occurred, that I was oldest in my age group, number one, and number two, I knew I was hurting pretty bad, and my sights were clearly set on 2022, where I was going to be the youngest. And I remember when I did the qualifier in 2021, I remember comparing my scores to all the other 60 plus year olds and the ones that I knew were going to age up. And I was like, you know what? I had the best scores. And so I knew I could be really competitive when I aged up, and I was really targeting that. So my goal for the next season, when I ended 2021, was, Tom, you just got to get healthy.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you, Yuri, what really happened to me was, at the end of the competition at the games, I got to know Vincent Defus, and I don't know if that name means much to anybody, but Vincent won the 55 to 59-year-old age group in 2021. He was from the Netherlands, I believe, and he was just a delightful human being, and I just got along with him really well, and we became friends. And after the games were over, again, he got first, I got last, right? And he was telling me how he trained. We were watching the elite athletes at the time. We were in the arena after it was over and just kind of relaxing and watching the elites work out. And he said, Tom, I trained like those guys. And he pointed to the elites on the floor. And I trained with this person. And at our age, if you train too hard, you break. You just do.
Yeah.
But he said, I just really I really had a nice trainer, and you have to train differently to succeed at the games, to do well at the games. And you don't have to do well at the games. It's just fun to get there. But if you want to get on the podium, you got to do something differently. So that was like, that resonated with me, what Vincent told me. And I said, I have to do something different. I was originally going to use his coach, and I don't know why I didn't. I just didn't follow through with it. But what I did was I joined a program, one of the many programs that are out there. I think if you choose any of them, I'm sure they all work really well. But I chose one, and I just stuck with it. It was a lot of volume, Yuri, and it was a lot of work, and it was tailored toward, an older person, so that, it wouldn't break you, but it got you in better condition and put more volume in you. Because before that, for every year since 2014, when I started CrossFit, to 2022, when I did that, I was just going to class every day, and that's
Oh,
fine.
really? So for all those years you went to the game just by attending class. You never had a coach or a program, nothing.
Nothing. Just went to the gym like every other person goes to the gym, and I warmed up and I did the workout of the day, and I didn't do anything extra. And I
Not even nutrition. You didn't have a special nutrition program or anything.
well, I did. I mean, I'm kind of freakish about that when because I studied that a lot. Um, as you know, and I'm sure many people know, nutrition is probably the most confusing topic ever, because you can read something that says this is good or
Yeah,
this is bad, right? But you got to find what works for you.
exactly. Yeah.
And what worked for me was the one supplement that what took me from being good to being pretty darn good was creatine, and that it's a really natural substance, and it took I was my weakness used to be my strength used to be my weakness. I used to not be very strong in my age group, but then I'm the strongest guy in my age group, and it's a lot of work, because creatine doesn't just put muscle on you,
Yeah.
steroid. It just helps you, lift a little bit more, and you get a little bit bigger, and you retain a little bit more water, I tell, it's no secret. I tell my competitors. There's this one guy in our group last year, in this past year. His name is Brian Wilson. He's just a phenomenal athlete, and he just needs to get stronger. And I said, Brian, have you tried creatine? Because that made me strong. But yeah, I dialed in my nutrition, Yuri, and I dialed in my sleep, because that's really probably the most important thing is
Recovery. Yep.
get recovery, getting a lot of sleep, and dialed in my nutrition, got on this program, and I got focused. I got very focused.
Excellent. Now that's what you were able to accomplish without a specific coaching program is already mind blowing, just by attending class. Um, but as you said, to be in the podium, you have to do something special, right? You need to fine tuning all the details.
Yeah.
And when it comes to recovery, did you just sleep well, or did you do any cryotherapy, any type of massage therapy, or whatever?
No, not really. I just make sure I bought a massage chair uh, back in 2017, and I always say to people, what do you own that you use every day? And the answer is not many things, right? Maybe your
Yeah.
toothbrush, maybe your car, right? But I use that massage chair every single day. Now, I'm not saying that changed things, but I'm just saying that it relaxes me right before I go to bed. And then I go to bed and I sleep well. I make sure I get a good 8, 9 hours, if not more. I've got a Whoop. I monitor my sleep a lot and make sure I'm getting, really good sleep. And excuse me, I've kind of, I wouldn't say I'm a carnivore diet, but it's very much animal based.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. That was a topic that me and my peers at the games talked about it this year, and we all seem to be eating the same thing: lots of eggs, lots of animal meats,
So very very low carb, basically.
very, very low carbs. I mean, at the games, you got to you know you
You got
got
to carb up. You got to carb up, right?
you got to carb up. Yeah, and I was eating lots of carbs, lots of fruit, lots of rice, white rice at the games, but that's a struggle. You're not even hungry because you're nervous and you're nauseated and you're just trying to fuel. You just force yourself to eat at the games. But ex the games, I eat very little carbs.
Interesting. Do you count your macronutrients or you just eat?
Just eat. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, when you're eating, you know, my favorite cut is a ribeye, and when you're eating ribeye, in my opinion, they're when you get a nice sized one, it's delicious in the beginning, and you're really hungry. But then I don't know, three-quarters of the way through, you're getting kind of full, right? So it's satiating. Animal fat is super satiating, and that's what causes you not to overeat. And
Yeah.
and meat, as we kind of all know, is very nutrient dense, and
Hmm.
so your body says, "Thank you. You're giving me what I need, and I'm going to cut you off." Your brain says, "I'm full."
Yeah. No, that's great. Great to hear that. The guy that got first place, is he younger than you or older?
Yeah, Stu Swanson is 60. He aged up this year, and I competed against Stu in 2018 when I was 56. He was 55, and I believe he got fifth that year. I knew Stu was really good. Going into the games this year, you get to know each other after a while, and you're always seeing each other on the leaderboard, and you go to these competitions and you meet most of them. So Stu was a known commodity to me, and I was certain that Stu was going to win it or he was going to come in second place. Now, I didn't say this before the games to anybody. I just was thinking about it because I didn't want to offend anybody, but
Of
but
course. Yeah.
but I knew that Stu was gonna win it or come in second, and I knew that Shannon Aiken was going to come in first or second. Shannon is a different athlete. He's just so much. He's just incrementally better than all of us, and he got first last year when I got third in 2022. He's just phenomenal. I don't know what it is about him, but he just doesn't seem to get tired. He must have an innate natural VO2 max that's just so high that he just doesn't get tired, right? So, but as some people know, this year, 2023, we were warming up on day two for a workout. I think it was the gymnastic workout, and it had pistols in it, which I was really afraid of because don't do pistols. And he started to have back spasms, and it was so bad that he had to pull himself out. So the guy that probably would have wanted to come in second place, Shannon had to pull out. But I knew he and Stu it was going to be a battle. And then third place was wide open for everybody else. And there's so many great athletes. Tony Tursky is phenomenal, and Eric Cohen was great. Brian Wilson, as I told you before, was phenomenal. And I'm sorry if I'm forgetting somebody, but there was just a bunch of us that were right there, and so going into the last event, it was like we were all like 10 points away from each other.
Wow, that close. Wow.
It was that close. Yeah.
Awesome. Uh, we were talking about age and recovery and everything, and one of the things that I know, with age comes a lot of aches and pains, mainly on the joints. And CrossFit can be very impactful for the joints, mainly when you're lifting heavy, uh, doing some heavy squats or lifting heavy weights. Do you have joint problems? How do you handle that?
Yeah, I think part of that, it's got to be genetics. And I think I'm just blessed with decent genetics. Before I CrossFitted, I ran marathons, and I played basketball, and I ran track, and I played football. So my joints, have been actively used my whole life, and I really don't have issues. Now, at 61 years old, you just have aches and pains all the time. And it's just part of life, and everybody has it. And when I work out real hard, like today, I did a bunch of ring muscle ups. It was a workout where we had to do 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 ring muscle ups this morning. My shoulder hurts. You know, I overused it. I could tell, in that motion.
Hmm.
But knock on wood, I'm pretty good with from a joint perspective.
That's great.
Uh, I Yuri, I attribute it to nutrition. Before I discovered, that inflammation, I did a lot of research on inflammation, what caused
Hmm. What
inflammation,
cause?
and really it's sugar, it's carbs, it's those kinds of things. And it was probably 2019 when I stumbled across this whole animal-based diet and how it wouldn't cause inflammation. And when I did that, it was like such a game changer. My shoulders used to hurt so bad that I could hardly. Some days I couldn't lift them above my head, and I'd be like, "Oh my God, I can't do this." And then when I got on that diet that took all this inflammation out of my body, um,
Wow. So
then
you felt improvement immediately.
I did immediately, like within a week. And I can remember one time, Yuri, going to the gym and getting upside down and doing handstand push-ups and not having pain and thinking to myself, this is unbelievable how good my body feels without inflammation and caused by not putting bad things in my mouth.
So
It,
what did you remove at that point from your diet? I mean, I know you said sugar, but what you used to eat in the past that you believe were causing inflammation?
I really don't, honestly, I don't know, but it turned it out to be kind of just a elimination diet. So here's what I did. It was January 1st, like a lot of people do things January 1st. It was January 1st, 2021, I believe. Um, yeah, 2020. No, it was 2022, Petty, wasn't it? Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. It was January 1st of that year. And I went completely 100% carnivore. In other words, I was eating eggs and organs, animal organs, and beef.
Oh, so you eliminate even the rice. No more rice.
Everything. It was just that. That's all I ate. And I ate that for like a month. And then I started to introduce things, first like avocados. And then eventually, because I liked them, sweet potatoes, and that didn't seem to cause any inflammation. When I started to add vegetables, like maybe I don't think it was broccoli. I think it was asparagus. I think I ate asparagus one day, and I was all of a sudden like, oh man, I'm creaky.
Wow,
I,
even asparagus. That's
yeah. So I eat asparagus today. I eat whatever my wife puts in front of me, but we generally are eating lots of protein, not a lot of vegetables, but some, and fruit, but not a lot of it. And that's kind of it. That's what we eat. And my aches and pains, and you started this off with just joints. My aches and pains have really gone away. I'm much at 61 years old. I feel much better that I did eating, all those carbs and all those sugars that I did back in 2020,
well,
2019.
and it probably, if you look at the numbers, your performance this year was much better when you were 59.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your numbers, your PRs, you probably just getting better.
Yeah, and you're right. My PRs, I haven't been able to beat my PRs for a year now. I was 60 and I snatched 175. I clean and jerk 250. I back squatted 327, I think it was. I strict pressed 185. I haven't been able to beat any of those. At some point,
Well, these are great numbers. These are great numbers.
Father Time catches up with you. Eventually, you
Yeah.
can You can run away, but he catches you. I don't know if I'm gonna PR anymore, and I don't know if I want to. That's not important. There was a heavy lifting event at the games this year called the Olympic Total. It was a clean and jerk, and it was and it was the snatch, and I snatched 175, my PR, and it was ugly, but I got it. And I clean and jerk 225. I could have been higher on my clean and jerk. I know I could have, but you just run out of time. It's a 3 minute thing. But my wife reminded me too, Yuri, that seed oils. That's probably one of the biggest things that we eliminated, and I think that was probably the thing that was causing the most inflammation in my body.
Wow.
And then she also, if she wasn't doing this with me, because I'm not the guy that goes grocery shopping and I don't do the cooking. So she's really helped me a lot, but she buys only grass-fed, grass-finished beef. She doesn't, we don't eat any grains except for white rice.
Amazing. Well, it shows that nutrition, as you said in the beginning, is the number one thing. I mean, you can train a
Yeah,
lot, you can be very disciplined on everything, but if you don't have good nutrition, you just cannot advance.
yeah, exactly. I don't know if you know, Yuri, during the CrossFit Open and then the quarters and the semis, I had a knee issue. Um,
No, I haven't. I didn't know that. What
yeah,
happened?
yeah, I started to have a knee issue in those events, and the semis. It really started to hurt, and I made it through, and I came in fourth to make it to the games, the top 10. I came in fourth, but my knee was killing me, and I had never felt anything like it before. I didn't know what was going on, and ultimately I went to the doctor, got an MRI, and they said, you have a little bit of a torn meniscus. So I got that cleaned up, and I had the surgery on May 18th, and in just a little over June, July, just a little over 2 months, I was at the games, and I had a great doctor. He did a great job, and my recovery was really good, but it was a little bit creaky up until the games. But once you get to 2.5, 3 months, it's almost fully recovered. And
Wow. So you had a surgery in May this year, and
yeah,
you competed at the CrossFit Games. That's amazing recovery.
yeah,
Because you probably were out without training for a long time.
yeah. I had to take about a week off, and that's the critical time too. You got to start. You really got to start going hard. And then yeah, it was at least a week. Maybe it was, my wife's saying it was 2 weeks. And then get back to nutrition. I started just hammering on the protein and the animal animal fats, and it just really helped my knee get better. Now, so you're right, my training was very limited for the month of May, parts of June, and then in July I knew I needed to go hard, but I still couldn't go hard. I couldn't squat really a lot. But when you get to the games, it's adrenaline. Candidly, you take ibuprofen. I don't take ibuprofen during normal life. I know it's bad for me. It's bad for your liver or kidney. I can't remember which one, but I just don't take it. But during the games, us old guys, we take it because we have to, because it's 8 workouts in 3 days, and our bodies just couldn't hold up to the pain. We could do it, but it's just so pain. Your body gets.
So, didn't you feel like weakness on your leg for not being training so hard because you just PR at the competition? It's crazy how you are able to do that without going hard during the training.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Scott Panchek who got injured one time, and he could only lift 70% of his max, and then he went into a competition, and he did really well. And I don't know why I remembered that, because that's kind of how it was for me. I didn't do max anything because I couldn't, and I wasn't willing to risk it and re-injure it or go or take a go backwards. So my training from a weight perspective was lighter. I tried to go harder on the cardio stuff. I tried to bike a lot more, row a lot more, get on the assault runner a little bit, although I didn't run much because that's what really irritated my knee is running. And then, of course, there was a 5K run in the games, and that went just phenomenal. I don't know why. I felt good that day, and I felt, I was getting that runner's high where I wasn't really getting tired. The more I ran, the better it felt. So it was, some of it's luck too, Yuri. You just, it depends how you feel.
Yeah, no, it's that's something interesting too because one of the things that you mentioned is that there is always the nervous, and I was going to ask about this because this is not your first game. Were you nervous at that game because you are just coming out of the surgery? Were you afraid, hesitant of doing some stuff because of your knee, or you were like, no, I'm here, I'm gonna give it all?
It's the latter, 100%. And that's what I've been telling a lot of people. That's kind of my message. You know, the brain, it controls you, right? And it can make you happy. It can make you sad. Depends on, what you want to listen to in your head. And um, I'm by nature a worrier, and I get nervous, and I know most every one of us. I don't know a person that doesn't get nervous when you're at the games because you're on the world stage. You got to perform. You can't lay an egg. You don't want to embarrass yourself, and you want to feel like you belong there.
Hmm.
And going into them that this is gonna hurt. So there's the nerves of that too, right? This is gonna hurt because it always does because you push yourself to the point of it really hurting a lot. But in 18, I was super nervous because it was my first and I didn't know what to expect, and it went well. And candidly, I hate to say this, but I was really waiting for it to be over, right? Because it was like, this is nerve wracking and I just want this to be over with. So I'm done. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. So I went back in 2021 and we talked about what happened there. I laid an egg. I was, all those reasons why I didn't do well. And I too was like really nervous, and I was like I didn't have fun. Let's put it that way. 2022, I was 60 years old. I aged up. I was in great condition, and I went there and I came in third, and I was super happy. But it was a business trip for me. It was like, Tom, if there's ever a point where you're going to podium, it is this year. You have to do well because you're never going to get on that podium again. Because you're the youngest, you're in good condition, you're not injured right now, you've got to go. And so it was nerve wracking. I was nervous, and just what I was hoping wouldn't happen. The very last event it was down to the last event. I was in, I think, third or fourth place, and I had to hang on to third place, and I had to do well in the last workout. So the anxiety was high, and fortunately I did it.
But this is something that this you were pushing yourself. You were putting pressure on yourself. There was no external pressure. That was basically your mind pushing you, right?
Bingo, bingo. All up here. You would think to yourself, the average person says, "Oh my God, if I make it to the games, that would be just the greatest thing in the world, and I would go there and just enjoy myself." But that's not the way it works. And I can tell you, to an athlete, they all have that look on their face of anxiety, right? And even the elite athletes, they're full of anxiety too. But this year, Yuri, just like you said, with my knee injury and the fact that I couldn't train quite as hard, I was going into these games thinking to myself, Tom, I had two goals: have fun and don't come in last. That was all I was going to do. And when I was down there, I was doing a lot of self-talking to myself in my head, and I was saying to myself, Tom, why are you wishing this over with? You shouldn't be wishing this over with. This should be fun. Take the workout in front of you, and I've got a great coach and trainer. His name is Justin Peterson. He owns the gym, and he's very technically sound. He knows me really well. He knows when to push me, when to back off. And I kept on telling him, Justin, that's what I want to do. I want to have fun, and I don't want to come in last. That's all it's not that I don't care. I care. I always care, but I'm not gonna hinge my happiness on, getting on the podium or whatever. And so every single event, I was like, okay, let's have fun with this one. Don't worry about the next event or tomorrow. Enjoy today. Have fun. Enjoy your competitors. I think I spent, I was thinking about this the other day. Every other year I went to the games, I never got to know the women in my age group. I never talked to them because I was too nervous. I didn't want to, when I'm nervous, I just want to be in my head, and I want to stare down at the ground, and I don't want to talk to anybody. I just don't want to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And this year I was talking to everybody, and I got to know the women. You probably know the name Susan Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Susan Clark, she's like Tia Killer to me in our age group. She's won 6 times in a row now, and she's a phenomenal athlete. But she's just a better person. She's just a phenomenal person. Patty McGill, Vandenberg. I mean, all those Howard. I mean, all those women were just so nice, and it was fun. We I should tell us. I don't know if I should tell a story or not, but at the end of the competition, they shuffle off the top 5 to go get drug tested, and all us old people were, because we get them first. We were all sitting there, and we were trying to pee, and we couldn't pee. So we were like a bunch of school kids laughing about it, teasing each other. If someone would get the proper amount of pee, because we were all dehydrated, right?
Yeah.
They would come out of the bathroom, woohoo, and we were like, such a show off. It was fun. It felt like we were 10 years old.
But this is such an amazing realization, because it only shows that what your mind is capable of doing, right? It can drive you miserable to be focused looking at the floor and not talking to anyone,
Right.
to be open and having fun. And probably it was because you were so relaxed that you also had a good performance. Maybe that was the reason.
Maybe, and I really think that's true, Yuri. I don't know if that's for sure true, but I do know that I had a better time and I had fun. And my memory of this past year's games, not because I got second, but my memory is just like, that was fun. I could have came in 5th, and I think I would have felt the same way, because there were 5 or 6 of us that were just like, depending on the last event, we could have shuffled just so differently. But I'll be honest, it's great to be on the podium. It just really is. It's a really special thing. But I really did have fun this year, because my mind was in a different spot.
Exactly. And I completely understand your feeling of, I want to get this over, because I've been in competitions where I start and like, I just want to finish this and get over, right?
Yes.
And it's a terrible feeling, because you feel that thing inside of you that you just like, that agony. You want to get out, and you're not enjoying the moment. And then when you finish and you go back home, then you start reflecting like, I should have enjoyed more.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how you feel. Because you're right. You train so hard to get to that point of doing that competition, and you should just really enjoy it. I don't know. It to me, it feels like the women do a much better job of managing that than the men. They seem to be happier, more smiling, talking more, hugging more than the guys do. But
I believe that it probably one of the reasons is because they have a better feeling of gratitude. There are so many people that they are grateful just to be there and to be part of that moment. Mainly in the master division, at least. This is something that I've been observing a lot. Mainly in the master division, people get this sense of gratitude. Say, well, look at my age. I'm here. I mean, out of 20 competitors, I'm actually doing this, right? So I think that when you start changing your mindset to be more grateful for those moments, it really makes a difference.
It does, and that's the word that I can remember. Stu Swanson, we all kind of do this post to social media just to kind of reflect upon the week. And I honestly didn't really do it this year. I don't know why. I just didn't feel like I needed to or had to, because other people kind of did things for me. But I remember Stu's post, and his first word was grateful,
Yeah.
and that's what I think um, I think that's the elixir of happiness is being grateful.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, you come from a background where you were athlete on your teenagers years and everything. Then I read that you tried golf, but you thought it was boring after 2 years. You didn't want to do it anymore. Were you always in shape, or did CrossFit also change your life as far as being in shape?
Yeah, it sounds corny and it's very cliche, but CrossFit changed my life. When I walked in that gym, it's almost exactly 9 years ago, September 1st of 2014. When I walked in that gym, I was 225 plus pounds, somewhere in that range between 225, 230, and really out of shape, and drinking a lot of alcohol. I don't think I was ever an alcoholic, Yuri, but just drinking too much, eating very poorly, getting bad sleep. Um, that was probably the worst shape I was in. And why was I in that shape at that point in time? It was because I couldn't find anything else to do. I didn't want to run. I felt like I couldn't play basketball, pick up basketball anymore. That really kept me in good shape for a long time. But I just felt there was a Achilles tendon, knee injury, something going to happen. You lose a step and then you lose two steps and it's not fun anymore. And then running, to me, I didn't really love it. And I'm not built for it. I'm 6'1", 200 pounds, and I just wasn't built for long distance marathon running. But when I ran, I was down to 180. I qualified for the Boston Marathon. I ran it in 2006, and that was great. But it also was like, okay, Tom, you reached the pinnacle of marathon running. Now what? And I had no other goals. And when I don't have a goal, I kind of fizzle pretty fast. And so I stopped running. That was in my late 40s. And so my late 40s to 52 years old, when I walked in the gym, I didn't do a heck of a lot, Yuri. And I allowed myself to turn into a 50-year-old kind of fat, out of shape, flabby guy.
Hmm.
Thought I just thought that's the way it was going to be for the rest of my life, because there was nothing else really that interested me. But this sport changed changed my body composition, changed my mind, changed the way I fuel my body, changed the way I think about sleep. And the reason why I keep on doing the open and trying to get to the games and stay in shape, it's not because I want to, it's because I love doing it. And
Yeah.
it's become CrossFit, because of its variety, and every day is different. And as we all know, the secret sauce is the social aspect of it. You get to know people in the gym, you become friends. I liken it, and I don't mean this to demean the military, but I've never been in the military. It's one of the regrets in my life, is that I didn't serve to enjoy this freedom that we all have. But I'm assuming that when you go and do very difficult things like the military folks do, and I understand now the brotherhood
Yeah.
that bond with the person that you're there doing this very difficult thing with. That's on a very small scale. That's what CrossFit is. You go in and you do these things that kind of hurt, but you made it through it. You kind of high five, and you all kind of have this brotherhood of, we went through this pain together. But CrossFit has become just like brushing my teeth in the morning.
Yeah.
It's something I just do every day. I don't cherry pick the workouts. I take 2 days. I think what I've learned is rest is just as important as training. And so I take Thursdays and Sundays off. and but all the other days I can't wait. I don't like Thursdays and Sundays because I wish I.
Now, let me ask you this. September 1st, you walked at the gym, CrossFit, for the first time. How was your experience on that first day? Because I will assume that if you just do a workout never done before, you were exhausted at the end. And that was the feeling that really attracted you, like, wow, I love this. Was that the feeling?
I don't think it was immediate like that, Yuri. First of all, it was super scary to walk through the door because you don't know you. I had no idea what I was in for, and you look around and all these people are in shape. So yeah, I was super fearful walking in that front door, but and I remember going to the classes for that first month, and I remember the coach kept on telling me, I had like running shoes, and he was like, you got to get CrossFit shoes, and I'm like, yeah, 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 I'll do that, and I kept on procrastinating because I thought to myself, I don't know if this is gonna last. I don't know if I should go invest in CrossFit shoes, but eventually he then went online and bought them for me, and I paid him back, of course, and then I kept them in the box for another week or two because I was like, I don't know, am I going to return these things or not? And I don't know. Each day got better. I think it really has to do with the friendships you make. When you start making some friends, then it's like, oh, okay, I'm part of the group now, and I found the workouts to be like not terrible, and I pushed myself really hard, and I just felt like, and I felt like the coaches were kind of like looking at me like, this guy's pretty interesting. He's pretty athletic. Even though he's out of shape, I think there's potential here. And I remember those guys telling me, there's gonna be a day you're gonna make it to the games. And of course, I thought I didn't even know what that meant at first. I didn't know what the Open was for 2 years when I was doing CrossFit. I didn't do the Open until 2016, and people just kind of talked me into it. I didn't know what it even, what even it was all about. So, um, but I knew that, you know, um, there was an article written about me, and what I said to them was I'm I'm good at everything I do, but I'm not great at any one thing, and that this sport rewards that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
No, absolutely. It's very intense, but it's very rewarding too because you have the opportunity to do multiple things. And as you said, if you keep an average and you are average on everything, not necessarily you need to be very good on something.
Right.
What would be the advice that you would give to yourself 10 years ago and joining a CrossFit gym that you wish someone told you before?
Yeah. Um, yeah. I would say that CrossFit is really for everybody because you can scale anything. I've got a friend that does it, and he just started. He's my age, 61 years old, and he's scaling things, and he's having, he wants to not scale, but it's in his best interest to scale. But I would say, you know, if I were talking to myself 10 years ago, I would have said, man, you should have done this a lot sooner. I know this is a new sport. It probably started in 2000 or something like that. So it wasn't around until I was in my 40s. But um, it's very much life changing in such a good way. And I think ultimately our goal as masters athletes, and I think we talk about this as 60 plus year olds at the games, is we don't want to be a burden on our families. We don't want to be, you know, just just not able to play with our grandchildren and get out of a chair and move around. That's not what we want for ourselves, and we that's not the burden we want to put on other people. So um, it's it's a way to work out, but it changes your whole life in a and you got to be. prepared for it. I mean, if you really like to drink and party and do that scene and at family events drink a lot and laugh, well, that kind of goes away, and you have to change. You might have to change the friends you hang around with, because, and I'm not saying that being a CrossFitter you can't drink. Most people do. I'm just saying, for me, I don't see the point anymore, because it doesn't do anything for me, and it makes me feel bad. And it's so wonderful to spend every single moment of every single day present, and it's awesome to wake up every morning feeling phenomenal. And you finally get to the point where you're like, man, oh man, why did I ever do that type thing? So, I'm not here to talk about alcohol, because, I don't believe I ever had an issue, and people can drink. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's still a toxin you're putting in your body, and it's probably not good. But to each his own, and I'm not going to judge or criticize people for doing that, but it changed the way I think about nutrition, Yuri. It changed the way I think about sleep, and my life is different, and it's to the point of I didn't think that this was possible, that I'd feel this good.
That's amazing testimony, Don. Very inspirational. I really appreciate you taking the time to record this. Such a outstanding result after so many setbacks, less plays, knee surgery. I mean, congratulations for this amazing result, and thank you very much for joining the show and sharing your story.
Thank you, Yuri. I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you for having me on.
All right, everyone. This is a wrap for today's episode. Stay tuned. We have much more to come.